Christian Apologetics Research Ministry, found online at carms.org. When you have questions about Bible doctrines, turn to Matt Slick Live for answers. Taking your calls and responding to your questions at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
Everybody, how are you all doing? Nice Monday. Well, I'm having a good day. It was really kind of weird. Last night, I got like three hours sleep. Three. And woke up at like 4:30 in the morning and couldn't go back to sleep, and got up eventually after a couple of hours sitting there, and I worked for a few hours. And I took a 1 hour nap, and I was okay. And you know what? That is weird. I think part of it might be, I'm going to kind of make a confession here, is I'm trying a different diet. I'm laying off of stuff. I'm kind of eating like a lot of veggies and fruits and vegetables and staying away from dairy products and stuff like that. Maybe that's what's happening. I'm able to sleep better. I don't know. Maybe some of you have had the same results. Maybe not. Um, anyway, so I'm excited about that. That's cool. That's a good thing. And here's something else that's a good thing. I hope to be able to go to Israel in February of 2018. Do you want to go? So I've been there before a few years ago, and it was a spectacular experience. It's a little on the expensive side, but I'm letting you know because we're trying to get people to go and get a team going, a group of people to go. If you want to go, I'll be preaching and teaching there along with some other people. And when I went before, we saw the Sea of Galilee. We walked through Hezekiah's tunnel. We saw the foundational area of David's temple, of David's home, his temple, not the temple, his, I guess not the word castle, but, where he lived at his home there. And, the story of when Jesus was teaching and they opened up the roof and let the paralytic down, right there, we saw that very room. If you're familiar with the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of my favorite things, I don't know why this was, one of my favorite things was we went and saw the cave that they first found the Dead Sea Scrolls in. We went and saw that cave. In fact, we climbed up and went in it. And we saw places, we saw where David hung out. We saw all kinds of totally cool and awesome stuff. We went to the places where Jesus taught. We walked the paths that he walked. We went to the Garden of Gethsemane. We saw Golgotha. We saw the traditional site of the empty tomb and things like that. And I'm going to just tell you that it was a real exciting thing. If you're interested in checking it out, just go to the CARM website, CARM.org. On the upper right-hand side of the home page, or any page actually, it'll have a login schools search thing. It's in that block with a search. It's a little thing. It says CARM's 2018 Israel Tour. If that sounds interesting and you want to check it out, please, click on the link there and check it out. We might be having a friend of mine call in. In fact, I think he's on right now, and we're going to talk about it because he arranges these, and he and I and Bill McKeever from Mormonism Research Ministry, we went 3 years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago, to Israel, and we had a fantastic time. Eric, are you there?
I am there.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Matt?
I'm doing all right.
Doing well.
Hey, folks, let me introduce you to Eric here. Eric is the one who works at Mormonism Research Ministry. Eric is an absolute expert on Mormonism. When I have a question, he's one of the guys I go to. Bill McKeever's one of the guys. They work together. They just know everything there is about Mormonism. And so I go and ask them. And they're just awesome. And Eric, he's a great guy, too. He's leading up the Israel tour, right, Eric?
I am. And before I talk about that, can I just mention our website, mrm.org? I know we pale in comparison to CARM, but any little bit helps there.
Oh, yeah. It's
Mormonism Research Ministry, mrm.org.
That's right. I push it. I tell people about MRM, and it's a great site.
Hey, and also, I want to let people know that next year we're coming out with a book with Harvest House, and you're going to be a part of it. We've actually put together 24 chapters, And different apologists from all over the United States have written chapters on different techniques on how to share their faith with the Latter-day Saints. It's going to be called Sharing the Good News with Mormons, and we're hoping it's going to be out in June of 2018, but something to keep on the horizon there, because I think this is going to be a real helpful book. You have written a chapter on how to talk to a Mormon when the issue of Bible reliability comes up. So I'm excited to have you included in this.
That'll be fun. I'd like to get a copy of it and add it to the collection. So tell us about the Israel trip. I know this is kind of like an ad here. We're doing this, but it's such a worthwhile thing anyway. It really is. I wanted you to call in and talk about it for a couple of minutes. But what are we going to see? Why is it so worth going?
Well, let me give you a couple of things before I tell you what we're going to see. It's going to be from February 17th through March 1st of 2018. It's a 13-day trip, and you can leave out of L.A., Chicago, or New York, and one of those three cities would be fine. You have to get there. But and we're going to do a post extension that's going to take us for a couple extra days for those who would like to join us to Petra, which is in Jordan. And so it's a trip of a lifetime. I have had a chance since 2009. This will be my 8th trip that I've had a chance to lead people. I just took 55 people in February, and it was just amazing, just the things we're able to see. So, I mean, we're going to see all of the things you would expect to see on a trip to Israel. We'll see Caesarea. We'll see the Sea of Galilee area, Caesarea Philippi up there, Dan. We'll see all the sites around the Sea of Galilee. We'll have a chance to go on a boat and learn some Jewish dancing while we're on this boat on the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah, that was fun.
We'll have a chance to also do baptisms. Anybody who needs to get baptized in the Jordan River. We have a pastor who will be coming with us, Pastor Kenny Dodd from San Diego, and we can arrange to have some of the people there baptized. We'll spend a night down at the Dead Sea at a resort there. If you're going to go this distance, you might as well spend a day at a resort, and so we'll have a chance to do that. But the main thing that we're going to be doing is emphasizing the places of the Bible, and so we'll spend half of our time in Jerusalem. We'll be doing a number of things there. A whole itinerary is made for somebody who would like to learn more about apologetics and how the Bible can be shown through the different sites there. So we are not going to just see it from a bus. We're going to actually taste, touch, and feel. It's what I call the empirical tour, because we don't want to leave anything out that we don't have to. And not only that, but the highlight of this trip, besides seeing Bethlehem and we'll see, of course, all the sites in Jerusalem and all the places up in the Sea of Galilee, we're going to have a chance to spend 3 days with a Bible archaeologist. His name is Joel Kramer. He used to be a pastor where I live here in Utah, and he now has a master's degree in archaeology. He is a true Bible archaeologist because he has a personal relationship with Jesus. So we are going to have him take us to some sites that nobody else gets a chance to go to. Let me give you an example. We're going to go to Qumran, and if you have any Bible background knowledge, you are familiar that Qumran is the home of the Essenes, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were put together and then hidden in caves. And in 1947, a Bedouin shepherd boy found Cave 1 out of 11 caves and found a number of scrolls there, including the entire scroll of Isaiah. We call it the Great Scroll of Isaiah. Well, we're going to go to Qumran, and we'll see the village where the Essenes lived, and we'll see Cave 4, which is, you can see that from where they had the village. But we're going to go about a half-mile away, and nobody knows where it is except for archaeologists, and he's going to lead us up the hill. It's a little bit of a hike, and we're going to go up to Cave 1, inside the cave where the original Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. So that's exciting. We'll also drink water out of Jacob's well in Nablus. It's authentic as it gets, where Jesus in John chapter 4 told the woman that he was going to give her water that would be eternal, be spiritual water. We'll also go to where the Valley of Elah is. We'll have a chance to see where David and Goliath fought. And also, Joel Kramer has put together a DVD called Jericho on Earth. And it's an incredible DVD. In fact, it's so important, I want everybody who goes on this trip to have it and to watch it before they go. and we're going to go to Jericho. But in this video, Joel shows definitively using archaeology, including the pottery, the burn levels, that this was actually a site that was from 1400 BC, and it fits the chronology of Joshua. And I know Catherine Kenyon came in back in the 50s and said it didn't, but actually he shows definitively. And actually in that video, he has one of, I think, the last remaining member of Kenyon's team, and he brought him in, flew him in from England, and actually took him around. And this archaeologist, this former archaeologist, agreed with Joel that his theory sounded very good. In fact, he did not know about the Bible story of the walls falling down and the burn levels and everything else. So those are some of the things we'll have a chance to see.
And Masada.
I think that, Matt, this trip, it really increases your faith.
Yeah, it does.
Not that you have to have this in order to become a Christian, but the more evidence we have, the easier it is to be a Christian.
Yeah. And we're also going to see Masada, if anybody knows what that is. That's an incredible site. But, I preached and taught, and when we went before, we went to the seven churches of Israel, of Revelation, to be able to see those and to remember those, and to see the room where Jesus taught, the road where he walked, the garden where he was before he was arrested and tried. It really is. It's awesome. Plus the museums and the fellowship and the bus rides, and you meet new people. It's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So. Yeah.
We'll have devotionals all the way through. We'll have you speaking at some of those. They're short devotionals, but we do have a guide who's a Christian who will be taking us. His name is Andre, and a very energetic young man who, young, he's probably in his late 30s or early 40s, but he will take us on the other days that Joel will lead us for 3 of those days, and otherwise Andre will be there. And everything is faith-centered. What was your favorite place when you went to Israel?
I don't know why, but it was Qumran Cave 1. I don't know why. There's so many really more significant places. The well where Jesus was, where we drank out of, was awesome. But I don't know. I just got a big kick out of the cave.
That was fun.
It was.
It's a little bit of a hike, but we encourage people to start walking now and get ready for this trip. But for those who are able to go, and I have a lot of people tell me, because I've done 8 of these, and I really get a lot of joy out of having people come and see this for the first time. It's like taking a kid to Disneyland and watching the reaction. But a lot of people say, oh, well, maybe next time. And I'm going to tell you, those kinds of people who say maybe next time, there never is a next time. And all of a sudden, you get hurt, you're not able to walk anymore, or whatever the situation. And I'm going to say, if you're able to go, we're going February 17th through March 1 of 2018. I know it's coming up quickly, but we can get you all the information. And to encourage your people to go, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take $100 off the price. That if you tell them that you're from Carm, when you call Maranatha Tours, which is based in Arizona, a Christian agency, has been doing trips since 1974, you're going to get $100 off the price of this trip, and that's only until September 27th.
Okay.
So we're going to give you a little bit of time to think about it. I'm sorry?
We got a break. Hey, thanks.
All right.
Got information on this site. We'll take a break. God bless. We'll be right back. Do you enjoy listening to Matt Slick Live? Has it been a challenging show that has stretched your understanding of God's Word and provided answers and insights? If so, would you please consider supporting us financially? It's through your donations that we're able to stay on the air. If you want to continue hearing Matt Slick Live on your local radio station, please go to your web browser and type in mattslicklive.com. You'll be forwarded to our donation page. Thanks for your support.
Don't let debt keep you down. Protect your career, your family, and your financial future with help from NFCC, a financial advocate who understands the money issues faced by current and former military members. Schedule a confidential financial review with an objective nonprofit NFCC financial counselor. Call us today at 877-404-6322 or visit us at nfcc.org/military. You owe it to yourself. Get relief now.
Hi, I'm Johnny Erickson Tata, and there's a Bible verse that most older Christians really like. It's Philippians, and it says, I desire to depart and be with Christ, which is better by far, but it is more necessary for you that I remain in the body. You know, my grandmother lived to be so old that as a teenager, I wondered why God allowed her to linger. She probably said in her prayers, oh Lord, I so desire to depart and be with Christ. But you know what? It was more necessary for my sisters and me that my grandmom stay in our home. You see, with grandmother living with us, it helped us learn to serve even when it was inconvenient. God accomplished much in my life through my grandmother. And here's the thing, God is so generous. He will reward my grandmother for the lessons that I learned through her. So don't forget that godly responses to hard times not only do us a world of good, it does good for all those that we serve.
A message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare.
There's pain that does not stop.
I feel trapped. Migraine.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
I feel like I'm dying. You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by...
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you're enjoying it. Let's get to Alex from LA. Alex, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Matt. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. What's up, buddy?
Hey, so I got a quick question. How in John chapter 19, verse 36, well, 32 to 36, is a response to my question. How could Jesus be nailed to the cross without having any broken bones?
It's easy.
They nail you, wouldn't your bones be broken?
Well, I would suggest give it a shot. To go out in your garage, get some nails, take a hammer. Jesus was not crucified in the palm. He was crucified in the wrist. Now, the Jews and the Greeks, they didn't really have a word for the wrist like we do. And so it says hand. The wrist was considered part of the hand. So the nail would be in between those two bones in the arm where it joins the wrist. So they didn't break any bones there. They just put a nail between the two wrists there. And our feet, there's just 5 digits. Just go look at an anatomy book or whatever it is. You'll see the bones, and you can easily drive a nail between those. So not a problem at all. Okay.
Oh. All right. Now, based on Jehovah's Witnesses standard, right? He was not crucified on the cross. He was crucified on a stake. If that's the case, does that mean his bones did break if we use the Jehovah's Witness standard?
No.
Interpretation, correct?
No. And I'll show you why it doesn't work. Their stake ideas doesn't work. I'll give you a verse for that in a second. But the theory that they postulate, because they deny the cross, they propose a stake, is that Jesus had one nail most probably put through both wrists that were above his head and nailed at his feet. So that's what they say. So it'd be one nail for the hands. That's how it would be. But when you go to John 20:25, so the other disciples were saying to him, this is Thomas, okay, we have seen the Lord. But he said to them, unless I see in his hands, plural, the imprint of the nails. That's 2 nails. So if it was a stake, you'd use one nail, you just cross the wrist, put one nail between both, above your head. So this right there shows that the J-dub position is incorrect. It's John 20:25. Okay?
Right. Excellent. Great. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know, because I know, saying to myself, if you were ever to get crucified, your bones have to break.
No, they don't.
And
no.
I was a little bit stumped there.
No, they don't. But I will tell you that maybe someday on the radio I'll talk about what happens to the human body during crucifixion. And it is one of the most horrendous ways to die, because the body is coping, trying to adapt to the loss of blood. And before he even got to the cross, his back had already been ripped open and his beard plucked from his face, beaten hard. This is why he had to have help to carry the cross before he even got there. And driving the nails in the wrist area, those between the bones, there's a nerve. And people who've had it severed, which happens when you're crucified, they said it's like your hands are on fire. And that's just part of it. It goes on and on and on, and it is truly a horrible way to die. Okay? All right, man?
When I think...
Sure.
I'm sorry?
Real quick, yep.
Is it true, like, supposedly the Catholics are the ones who says Jesus was crucified on his palms, but
no,
that's the ones who correct them?
Yeah, that's just... no, they just... it's psychosomatic stuff. They'll get these little marks in their hands. People do. He wasn't crucified in his palms. That's not how they did it. They did it in the wrist. That's just what they did. That's just how it is. Because if they did it in the palms, the weight of the body would rip the nail through the between the digits of the fingers, and it would fall. Okay, I can get into. It's called vectors and physics and stuff like that. And when the further straight your arms are out, straight to your left and right, horizontal. You take your feet off the ground, your shoulders and your elbows will pop out of joint, because of vector forces. And so what they did, they stretched him out. They on the crossbeam, and they would stretch his arms out while he was laying on the ground, and then they would drive the nails into his hands, which is tremendously painful. And then they raised him up. In fact, when they did the movie The Passion of Christ, the actor, I forgot his name, but he described getting hit with a cat of nine tails once. One barb hit him, and they had a padding on his back so he would get whipped, he wouldn't get hurt. And he said in one of the scenes that they were doing, one barb hit his back, and he said the pain was so searingly bad, he basically almost passed out. He couldn't believe how bad it was.
Oh, wow.
And so Jesus had this done to him, and his back was ripped. And we're going to get going here, a lot of callers, but think about this. Your back's ripped out. When you get lifted up to the cross, your shoulders and your elbows are out of joint now. That's why it says in Psalm 22, my bones are out of joint. And then in order to breathe, because of the condition, you have to press up on the nails on your feet. And you have to rub your raw back against the wood of the cross with each breath. Yeah, it's a tremendously agonizing way to go. But anyway, that's what he did for us. Okay? We've got other callers, buddy, so I'm going to move on. All right?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Have a great one.
Okay. That was Alex from L.A., and we're going to jump right in to talk to Ryan from Leesburg, Virginia. Hey, Ryan, how are you? You turn your radio down back there, wherever it is.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Bryce, what do you got, man?
Okay. Man, I have like the one slight confusion. Like when we say our prayer as a Christian, should we pray to Jesus Christ or should we say our prayer to Heavenly Father? Or is it the same thing? Doesn't matter.
Well, no, Jesus and the Father are not the same person. That's the doctrine of the Trinity. In Matthew 6 and Luke 11, we have Jesus saying, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." And so we're to pray that way. But also, there's a phrase to call upon the name of the Lord or call upon the name of Jehovah. Mm-hmm. You go to Psalm 116:4, and you read that, and you see that it's a prayer. Call upon the name of Yahweh, the Lord. Oh Lord, I beseech you, save my life. It's a prayer. Well, that phrase is used of Jesus in 1 Corinthians 1:2. So, everyone everywhere who calls upon the name of the Lord Jesus, that means prayer to and worship and adoration of Christ. So Paul the Apostle taught that. In John 14:14, Jesus says, "Ask me anything in my name, and I will do it." In Acts 7:55 through 60, Stephen was being stoned, and there was a vision of God the Father. He didn't see God the Father, but a vision of God the Father and Jesus at his right hand, and he addressed Jesus. So it's okay to pray to Jesus. It's okay to pray to the Holy Spirit. It's okay to pray to God the Father. It's okay to just pray God. Whenever I pray in public, I always pray to Jesus. And I do it for a specific reason. The cults don't pray to Jesus. No cult prays to Jesus.
No.
But in the Bible, they do. And so I specifically and purposely pray to the person of Christ in public. So by any chance, someone might hear it and a seed of truth be planted in their hearts and minds. Okay, we got a break coming up. We'll just come back later. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, God bless.
Okay.
All right, we're going to be right back after this break. Stay tuned.
Whenever you hit one of life's walls, which we all face, and we're all going to hit at some point in our lives, there is God.
Dr. Michael Youssef.
God is ready in the times of difficulties, in the times of distress, in the times of despair. God is always ready to give you more comfort than you can handle. God is always more ready to give you more power than you thought possible. God is ready to soothe your wounds. He is ready to bind your broken heart. He is ready to fill the emptiness and the void that has been created. He is ready to restore your confidence. He is ready to renew your hopes and your dreams. He is ready to get you up and running faster than you ever ran before.
Dr. Michael Youssef is heard each weekday on this station. This is Just a Thought with Ravi Zacharias.
I was 17 years old in Delhi when life bottomed out for me. I was not a good student. I wasn't going to make it. My father looked at me in the eye one day after a vicious beating that he'd given me and said to me, "You are going to be an embarrassment to this family. You're going to be a loser. You're going to make nothing of your life." When I found Christ along with my sister, my brothers and sisters came to know the Lord. My dad gave his life to Christ. He became a brand new human being. That's why I can tell the story now. Why should everybody here follow Christ? Because I believe he's the truth. He'll make a difference in their lives that nobody else can. And they can intellectually and emotionally find that bridge. It'll be the greatest moment and the greatest beginning for the rest of life. And the hope that Jesus gives, he is uniquely qualified to give.
Helping the thinker believe and the believer think. For more information, go to rzim.org.
Don't let debt keep you down. Protect your career, your family, and your financial future with help from NFCC, a financial advocate who understands the money issues faced by current and former military members. Schedule a confidential financial review with an objective nonprofit NFCC financial counselor. Call us today at 877-404-6322 or visit us at nfcc.org/military. You owe it to yourself. Get relief now.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Again, if you want to give me a call, all you got to do is dial 877-207-2276. And we got 3 open lines. Why don't you give me a call? Let's get to Paul from Dixon, Tennessee. Hey, Paul, welcome to the show.
Hey there, Matt. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, hear you fine. No problem. What do you got?
Excellent. Okay, so I had watched your show Friday, and I was one of the commenters that said I'm a philosophical theist. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term. I was previously a Christian before then, and I'm guessing that the what you're wanting me to call in about is why I went from being a Christian to being a philosophical theist who doesn't really have a religion but believes that it's, well, for me, in my particular case, I believe that it's likely that something that can be described as godly or godlike exists based on what I see.
Okay.
And so that's sort of where I am.
Okay.
And I guess I've always wanted to know the truth about reality, and that's always been my main concern.
Well, reality exists, right? Right?
Well, I'm not sure.
Yes, it does, because reality is defined as that which exists outside of ourselves. So you are, unless you're a solipsist, you do believe that things exist, right?
Actually, studying quantum mechanics, I have gone from naive realism into more of an idealist.
Well, let's
with the.
If you're an idealist, then you're kind of platonic, but because there's relationships there. But do you believe that things exist?
No, I don't particularly believe that anything exists the way that we perceive it.
Do your thoughts exist?
That, like, I guess, as the quote says, I think, therefore I am. I guess technically our consciousness is the only thing we can really be more certain of than physical things.
So here, with radio, and we're not having a philosophical discussion. We can do that on Bible Thumping Wingnut on a Sunday night if you want. So just because people are listening, I don't want to get into nuances of philosophical minutia, but things exist. Your thoughts exist. And the reason you know that they exist is because the laws of logic themselves give you the ability to recognize things. The first law of logic being the law of identity. Things are what they are and not what they are not. The very fact that you converse, ask questions, think, and realize, and can agree and disagree is because those laws of logic are there. And the laws of logic are abstractions, and you use them. But the abstractions always require a mind. So these laws are universal. Now, if you want to go into philosophical theism, I could just continue to work with that and show you that the laws of logic, which are universal, absolute, and transcendent entities, requires a mind of the same sort. Now, if you're a theist in that sense, and you believe that God exists and he's active in the world, now what that define, how you would define that is, what that action is. I would just go the logical step and say, if he's going to communicate to us, he's going to do it by becoming one of us, hence Jesus. But nevertheless, the laws of logic demonstrate an absolute transcendent mind out there. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I should start with the reason. See, I used to be a small group apologetics leader for a church, my local church.
Okay.
And I actually taught things like the Kalam cosmological argument for the existence of God and so forth. And I guess what brought me out of that was that it's hard to really explain.
Well, we don't have time here.
It's just, right.
Because it's, people usually get lost in these kind of discussions. I don't do them very often because it just kills people.
Yeah, no,
the Kalam,
I understand.
Variation of the Kalam, and I like it. It has a lot of power, particularly if you use true dichotomies. But nevertheless, we could talk about that sometime. But my concern is that you need to find the truth. And this man Jesus walked on water, rose from the dead, did miracles, raised others from the dead. And the historical documents of the New Testament are extremely reliable, and they were written very, very early. So, I'm very quickly here going through this, but that's sufficient evidence for you to consider. And you should.
Well, I guess I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I'm actually convinced of Christianity.
Just try Jesus.
I've become more apathetic. Right.
Did Jesus live?
I don't know. I guess I would have to get back into the studies and researches to find out if anything, if there really is reliable evidence.
Well, can I run?
You believe there is?
Can I run something by you really fast? Just we got a break in about 3 or 4 minutes. I've had 4.5 years of Greek, so I can translate. Pretty rough, but I can do it. With some help, so I can translate and tell you from the Greek to English is accurate. Not a problem. The question is, are the documents from the ancient times accurately transmitted? And I can go into that, but yes, they are. They're extremely accurate and well preserved. That's another discussion. Now, another question would be, are they early? The book of Acts is very interesting because the book of Acts was written after the book of Luke. And the book of Acts does not contain the death of Peter or Paul in it. These are super significant historical markers for the Christian church. And it does contain in Acts 7 the death of Stephen. And so it's the book of Acts is familiar with the idea of recording deaths and martyrdom. And Peter and Paul were both martyred. So it would be very significant to record that. And that happened roughly around, and there's debate, 62 to 65, 6 AD. But let's just say, just from numbers, let's just say 60 AD, even though it's probably 62 or 3, but 60 is easier to work with. We add and subtract, okay? So let's just say it was 60. We'll just use as a marker. Excuse me, what I mean is that's when the book of Acts was written, roughly 60 AD, because it doesn't contain their markers, the historical markers of the death of Peter and Paul. So roughly, had to be written before them. It makes sense. So it was written roughly 60 AD. Well, the book of Luke was written before that by Luke, because Luke wrote both Acts and Luke. So let's just say 5 years. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but just the concept. Let's just say 5 years earlier. Well, that would put it at 55 AD. Matthew was written before Luke was. Let's say another 5 years. Now we're at 50 AD. Mark was written before that. Let's say 45 AD. And this isn't exact right numbers, but you get the concept. The idea is that the Gospels are written early, and Acts is the critical document that we could look at that necessitates an early writing of that. Some people call it the fifth gospel of that historical document. And so the point I'm trying to make is that the Gospels are written very early by eyewitnesses and are accurately transmitted. So this is something to consider. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it is.
Yeah, I guess I would have to consider a lot. There's so many things I would have to consider, like that, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But one last question. I think
Sure.
we're about to go to break, but
Yeah.
just something. I hope I can get it out fast.
Okay.
So basically, my concern of not being a Christian would be the consequence of that once I've entered eternity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering why God would be so inclined to send me to an eternity of torment if I wanted to believe in Him, but I was skeptical for my own reasons. That's I guess that's what I can put it.
Yeah, you want to believe, but you're skeptical. What you're doing without realizing it is judging God, judging His truth, judging His creation, judging His word. He doesn't owe us anything, and He doesn't owe us any explanations. And so, technically, I'm not trying to point fingers and call you names or anything like that, but what you're doing is you are denying who He is at His word, in the word. And by that, a judgment is occurring upon you. Romans 1:18 through 31 talks about this, being given over to the depravity of their hearts and their minds. And you cannot lose your salvation. So you technically were never a Christian. You may have been one in what's called essentia, but never in fiducia. You were one by acknowledgement, but you're never one by conversion. And so you left, but you never were saved. 1 John 2:19, they went out from us because they never were of us. If they had been of us, they would have remained. And so I would just say that you had a false experience of conversion. And, we could talk about it. You should call the office sometime, and we can just talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to yell
I
at
would
you.
have to call back for.
Yeah.
Because that's a really good topic that I would love to talk to you about another
Sure.
day, maybe tomorrow or whenever you're on.
Sure.
Again.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
that would actually be my next topic whenever I call you again. So that would be great to talk about.
Hey, let's do that, okay? Because the break's coming up, and
All
we
right,
got
thanks
callers
a lot.
coming in. But I'd love to do that. Okay. Talk to you later. All right. Well, that was Paul. Look, I get conversations like this. I'm not complaining. I'm not knocking him at all. It's just that sometimes we get into these things, and I can get into some pretty particulars and some deep stuff, and people get lost. I've done it before. And so I don't want to do it too much. But if you like that, let me know. I would do a little bit more in it sometime. Obviously, that's the break music. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. enjoy listening to Matt Slick Live? Has it been a challenging show that has stretched your understanding of God's Word and provided answers and insights? If so, would you please consider supporting us financially? It's through your donations that we're able to stay on the air. If you want to continue hearing Matt Slick Live on your local radio station, please go to your web browser and type in mattslicklive.com. You'll be forwarded to our donation page. Thanks for your support.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
St. Jude continues to advance by increasing cure rates in childhood cancer. And donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. When it comes to research and advancements, there's some things that only we can do because we have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Swimming pools can be lots of fun, but they can be dangerous too, especially for young children. Always practice simple safety steps to prevent tragedies. Fence all pools. Teach kids to swim. And always watch them around water.
No horseplay.
Simple steps save lives. To learn new life-saving steps, visit poolsafely.gov. A public service message from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. Swimming pools can be lots of fun, but they can be dangerous too, especially for young children. Always practice simple safety steps to prevent tragedies. Fence all pools. Teach kids to swim. And always watch them around water.
No horseplay.
Simple steps save lives. To learn new life-saving steps, visit poolsafely.gov. A public service message from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission.
St. Jude continues to advance by increasing cure rates in childhood cancer. And donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. When it comes to research and advancements, there's some things that only we can do because we have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at St. Jude.
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hope you're enjoying it. Let's get to Kim from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, Matt. My question has to do with believers that commit suicide.
Okay.
Would that be a form of unbelief and unfaith?
Well, when you say a form of, and because that's a very ambiguous kind of a phrase, we could say, well, yeah, maybe it is a form of. But we Christians sometimes act as atheists. Even in our belief, we act as atheists when we don't consider God in our actions, our desires, our decisions. We work independently of him. But it's a form of unbelief, you could say, but it doesn't mean they're not believers. Okay?
So that wouldn't alter their position as far as going to heaven.
Well, Jesus said that he gives eternal life to his sheep, and they will never perish. That's John 10:27-28. John 3:16, God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, whoever believes will never perish, but have everlasting life. And in John 6:37-40, Jesus says that he will lose none. So you can't lose your salvation. Otherwise, well, there's some logic problems, scripture problems, all kinds of issues. But someone who commits suicide usually, not that I've ever done it and stuff, of course, but how do you speak for someone else's situation? But for those who have attempted it and come very close and have been rescued out of it, they have stated, a great majority of them, that there was very great emotional trauma difficulties they're going through. And so when people go through these things, these traumas, I'm a lot more sympathetic to people who do this than a lot of Christians are. But the reason is because the physical brain is an organ, and it can become exhausted. And there are chemicals in the brain, and stress removes and wipes those out. And over a long period of time, plus combined with pain and or combined with severe emotional trauma and or genetic problems that might have formed in the physical brain, people can get to the place where they can not think clearly and be so distraught that their judgment is off and they can take their own lives. And that's a sin to do that, but it does not force you, it does not make you lose your salvation. Okay?
So when you see these scriptures that say, faint not, don't give up, don't lose heart, trust in the Lord.
Yeah.
If you see somebody that does that, wouldn't that be the same thing as just losing heart, fainting, not trusting in the Lord? I mean, if you think that he can't take care of you on this side, and you commit suicide, what makes you think he's going to do that on the other side?
He will never leave us. He will never forsake us. Never, he says, so he can't. If he has bought us and we are his, it's not possible for him to forsake us, even if we commit suicide. Now, it's a great sin to do that. It's self-murder. Now, some people I know are going to take my words and say, oh, Matt said it's okay to sin all you want and you can just go to heaven. That's not what I'm saying. And so many people misrepresent what I say, and they take it out of context. It's a sin to do this. I'm just saying that those people who are in that emotionally distraught situation can sometimes make very bad decisions in that respect, but it doesn't mean they lose their salvation, because Christ said they will never perish. Now, I have to go with what he said. He's not going to lose us. Now, think about this. 2,000 years ago, Jesus bore our sin in his body on the cross, 1 Peter 2:24. Now, I have a particular view of the atonement where I believe he actually did remove our sin. Not potentially, it's done. Because he canceled the certificate of debt at the cross, Colossians 2:14. It's canceled. Now, did he cancel all of our sin or some of it? Because if you can lose your salvation by suicide, then that means it's a sin not paid for. But if it's a sin not paid for, and you are a not canceled, and you are a Christian for 30 years up until that one choice, and then you kill yourself, and they say you lose your salvation, then that would mean that you were a Christian the whole time and saved without all your sins being paid for. But that's not possible. It doesn't make any sense. And so God is very compassionate, and he's very loving. And I'm very sympathetic to people with emotional difficulties because I have Asperger's. It's an autism spectrum issue. And I moved a lot when I was young, 12 different elementary schools. I moved 26 times before I was 12. My dad stuttered. My mom was highly intelligent, and he was in the service, and he was gone a lot. He's overseas in Vietnam and other things, and he'd be gone. So I had a very difficult childhood, and because I was buck-toothed and skinny, I was traumatized a lot. Now, I'm only, divulging this kind of stuff only to say I know what it means to be under extreme emotional distress, and I know what it can do to you. And people in that condition aren't rational, and they make some bad choices. And it's hard to grow through those things. And so when I meet people who are going through great difficulties, you know what? I'll just sit with them. I'm not going to give them doctrine. I'm going to, put my arm around them. And when it's right, I'll teach them out of the scriptures because that's what they need. But sometimes what they need is a healing hand and a gentle voice and someone to weep with them because they're in distress. And so God is merciful. He's kind. He's not going to abandon us. It's particularly for those people who are in such emotional distress and difficulty that they take their own lives. And then he turns his back on them for that? No, that's not the God of Scripture, okay?
Okay, one other question, Matt. I decided, say, I'm through with life. I'm tired of living this life. And I decide I want to commit suicide tonight. You telling me I'll make it to heaven. God will love me still. I'm still a believer. But I want to check out because I'm tired of living. That's okay.
Yeah, you can't lose your salvation.
Because I've heard Pastor.
Okay, well, hold on. Wait, we got callers just stacked up. I want to get going. But let me just say, you cannot lose your salvation, okay? You can't. According to what Christ said. I don't care what people say. I'll discuss it with them if they want. But we don't lose our salvation by our works. We don't keep it or get it by our works. We're going to move along. We got callers. Okay, buddy? Call back. We'll talk about it some more. All right. So that was, let's just jump right in. Sam from Akron, Ohio. Hey, Sam, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Hey, I've got a couple questions. The first one is, have you debated anybody on the doctrine of women in the ministry?
It's called egalitarianism, and no, because no one will debate me on it.
Okay. The second question is, if you attend a church where women are pastoring and stuff, what should a person do? I mean, should
throw rocks?
You go to the pastor?
Oh,
throw rocks.
Yeah, throw rocks.
Okay, what do you mean?
No, I was just joking around. Yeah, you go to if you're attending that church, what are you attending for in the first place? If she's a woman pastor, you shouldn't be attending.
Well, okay. Well, wait a second. I've attended there for a long time.
Okay.
I mean, decades. This is a change. Okay.
A woman pastor came in.
At one time, they didn't have women.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's actually it's a pastor and his wife. And then his mother has got
okay.
the pulpit.
Women are not to be in teaching authority. They're false. They are. It's not for them, and they are making a huge mistake. Flat out. I'll be glad to debate them on it.
What should a member do under those circumstances?
You take.
And I'm saying, do you go to the pastor or do you talk to other members? What?
You go to the pastor first. Okay. I would recommend going to CARM, my website, and look on a section Women in Ministry.
Okay.
Got a lot of information dealing with
I have
this.
done that.
Okay, good. And collect some of it. See, I have it memorized, but you don't. So collect some of it and go and talk to him and say, the Bible says this. It's not a cultural thing. It's tied to the created order of God himself. How can you do this?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Okay, one more thing here.
Sure.
The organization that this church is in is the UPCI.
Oh, no, it's a cult.
That doctrine is, well, I don't think it's a cult at all.
Yeah, Universal Church, which denies the Trinity and requires baptism for salvation in the formula of in Jesus' name. It's considered a cult. It's not Christian.
Yes. Well, okay. Well, anyways, I don't agree with that, and I could argue that. But anyways, let's get back to this issue.
Okay.
They are it's the UPCI church, and that doctrine is getting ingrained in there now. The superintendent it propagates it, and so it's like there's a lot of peer pressure, and everything is pushing against me,
Yeah.
And how can this get by everybody? It's in the Bible. How can you have all these competent, great ministers oblivious to it?
The Bible says there's going to be apostasy at the end times where people will gather to themselves teachers who will tickle their own ears. And so they're not interested in the truth of God's word. What they'll often do is wet their theological finger, stick it up in the doctrinal wind and see which way it's blowing and follow that. The UPC has a lot of problems with legalism as well. And I know it well. I know what's going on in there. And it's a problem. So they have legalistic ideas. You keep your salvation by your sanctification. They confuse sanctification and justification, baptismal regeneration, speaking in tongues, and you get baptized in the Holy Ghost. The phraseology, the rhythm, and all of this. And it's not just in that group. It's happening in, let's just say, normal Trinitarian groups as well, where they are giving up on the Word of God and going the way of humanism, going the way of the secular world, and saying we have to be fair to women, and this is how we're going to be fair. And we're going to go against God's word.
Okay. I won't keep you here.
That's
But
all right.
you know, I've told you there's several things you mentioned that I think are totally wrong.
Well, we could talk about it.
You know, I'll call back another night.
Sure, we could talk
Well,
about
you know,
it.
like Jesus name baptism. You know,
I can show you why.
I
can show you why the doctrine of the UPC leads to a damnable heresy. I can connect the dots on the issue of the incarnation. Okay? Well, you know, we'll talk.
Okay. All right. Hey, thank you.
Okay, call back. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we'll talk to you later. All right, that was, let me see. That is Sam. Let's see if we can jump one more quick call in. Jesus from Long Beach. How are you?
Yes, thank you very much for answering my call. Here's my question. A friend of mine invited me to a church at the UCLA campus in Los Angeles called International Church of Christ.
Stay away from it.
And when I went there, I'm sorry.
It's a bad group. Go ahead.
No problem. So I was invited to a church called International Church of Christ at the UCLA campus.
I gotcha.
And basically they told me that salvation by grace is not safe, and only salvation by baptism, and only through their church. And they also told me that you cannot be a Christian unless you become a disciple. And I've noticed changes.
Okay.
And the person there, my friend that invited me, and I was wondering if it's a cult.
It's a cult. Okay.
Okay.
I will. I would say no, because they're adding in work to salvation. Call back tomorrow and ask about this issue of baptism and relationship to salvation. I'll work through it. I'd be willing to fly down there to Long Beach and debate their on this issue if they would set it up on campus.
But you know what?
Oh, sorry, buddy. Sorry about that. And it just happened. Hey, folks, there's the music. I got to get out of here. May the Lord bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll see you. Bye. All right. Let's see. Change. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay in the room. Oh, I got to turn off a little switch here. Hold on a sec. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Okay. Sorry, I got several things to do here really fast, but that's okay. I'll just do this. Okay. I'm doing research, by the way, folks, on Joyce Meyer, getting quotes and stuff and audios and videos. If you guys have some really good stuff, you have a URL and say, hey, 8 minutes and 15 seconds in, listen to this quote, you know, that'd be awesome. Because what I'm doing is I'm extracting them, finding different ones. And a lot of people have already found. I just found a new one today, but it's a new one. It's an old one that's a new one. But you know, I can do that anyway. If you guys want to do that, anyway. Okay. Now. Okay. So how you guys doing? Almost done typing something. Almost done here, sorry. All right. Matt, in school, I was a scraper, and I would have protected you. A scrapper? Scrapper. You know what? In all seriousness, Robert, this is for real, okay? I'm 6 feet tall, and I used to weigh at 6 feet tall in high school, 117 pounds. And this is no joke. And during my freshman year, they had the gym and have the universal machine and the bench press machine, and they put the key in and how many pounds or whatever. I couldn't even do 25 pounds. I could not lift 25 pounds. Yeah, 117 pounds at 6 feet tall. And so there was no physical way for me to defend myself. There wasn't. So what I did was I got one of the biggest guys in school to be my bodyguard. And yeah, I had anorexia because all the moving. It's rare among males. But anyway, so I did. And so this guy's name was Dean, and I would help. I'm a brain, so I'd help everybody with their homework, in their classes. I wouldn't cheat, but I would help them. And this one guy, I kept helping. I said, "Look, I'm going to tell you something. I need protection, and I will help you, but you got to protect me." He goes, "Deal." And I said, "But the rule is this: that you can't punch anybody unless I give you the nod." And he goes, "Okay." And so we came out of chemistry class once, and this guy, God, just some guy, grabbed me by the shirt, pushed me up against a wall, took his fist back, and threatened me, right? And I got my hands up, and my friend Dean is like ready to pounce like a monkey on a cupcake, And so I'm looking at this guy, and now he's really threatening me. I just look over at Dean, and I just nodded, and he just ripped into this guy. And word got around that I had a bodyguard. I never had any more problems after that. So, but now I'm 212 pounds, 6 feet tall, and so I've done martial arts for a few years. Probably had 7 years of martial arts, and I have a black belt in Run Fu, the ancient Chinese art of removing yourself from danger. I may have to go here because I'm texting with something important going on. I emailed you some information on healthcare in Idaho. That I hope might help you at recover.org. Just wanted to make sure you look for. Okay, I'll look for it. Okay. Ask me again later because sometimes I just don't see things and stuff. Between traditionalism and reformed when it comes to the atonement. Well, Adam, we could talk about it. In fact, on Wednesday night, I'll be teaching on some heresies, and then we do a Q&A, and you could ask questions, and I could just go into the reformed position of the nature of the atonement, and I can demonstrate basically limited atonement is the biblical position. Okay, if you're interested. All right. Hey, Matt, what do you think of Thomas Cranmer? I don't, because I don't know who he is. Okay, I got a question for you guys. I've been setting up a video room, and I'm stalling because lazy. But I'm thinking of setting up something in that room here on YouTube under Matt Slick Live, and doing and putting a link up on Carm, and then doing a show from in there with a different kind of a setup and some stuff, answering questions. I want to test it out, and hearing some footsteps. Oh, someone's coming in. Okay. Something up? Okay. Hey, buddy, what's up? I'm on. Let me just get out. Okay, folks, I'm going to close out. I'll talk to you guys later. Got to go. Got a jet. We'll see you. God bless. Bye.